Welcome to class on the heart of the matter with Dr. Janet Taylor. She is a chiropractor originally from Tennessee, and now she lives on the island of Dominica in the Caribbean. Did I say it correctly?
You did.
And she lives in this tropical paradise rainforest. And she's going to get to the heart of the matter right now.
Thank you, Larry. Larry came and visited me. Larry got to see the true place that I live. Thank you. I have a song deep in my heart, and only I can hear it. Everyone in the whole wide world has a special heart song. If you believe in magical, musical hearts, and if you believe you can be happy, then you too will hear your song. That is a quote from a part of a poem from the book Heart Songs by Matty J.T. Stepanek. He was an American poet who published 5 best-selling books of poetry before his death at the age of 13. He had a rare form of muscular dystrophy, and he became known as a peace advocate and a motivational speaker. He is my hero, and this workshop is dedicated to Matty. In honor of this most extraordinary soul who understood that love is who we are, let's place our hands over our hearts and close our eyes to hear our own heart song in the next half of a minute. Thank you. The conventional theory of heart disease emphasizes cholesterol control, exercise, drug therapy, and surgery. During the past 50 years, the pursuit of the coronary artery theory has cost America as a nation billions of dollars in unnecessary surgical costs, billions in medications that cause as much harm as good, and most seriously, have led people to adopt a low-fat diet and cholesterol-free, which only worsens the problem. Cardiovascular disease kills over 17.5 million people a year, and it is the #1 cause of death worldwide. So it is very clear to me that many people are not hearing their heart song. The latest research has revealed some astounding information. The parasympathetic nervous system has a great deal more to do with dysfunctional heart problems than cholesterol. Well, as a doctor of chiropractic and a certified Touch for Health instructor, I find this so exciting that I can hardly contain myself, and hence this workshop. It gets my heart song singing loudly. Chiropractors, of course, are specialists of the nervous system, and our job is to locate, stabilize, and correct misalignments, which we call subluxations. These may cause pinching, disturbance, and irritation to an area, and hence that area becomes dysfunctional in the body. In Touch for Health, we have 2 very interesting tools that help the parasympathetic nervous system to work more efficiently. And we're going to go through many of those. Also, Donna Eden has a specific technique, which we are going to do in this moment, which balances the brain. It's called the Wayne Cook posture, and it can be done standing up. So we're going to do that right now. If you'll just follow me. It's very easy. She probably will even talk about it this evening. You just stand and take one of your ankles and cross it over the other. Stretch your arms out in front of you, put the back of your hands together, and then lace your fingers as you cross them, and bring your entire hands to your chest. And now we're going to take 6 deep breaths. So that's the Wayne Cook posture. The second thing that you can do, and we all know this from Touch for Health, but we have a few people in here that do not know about Touch for Health. It is called the cross crawl, and it balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Hence, it affects the parasympathetic nervous system, which affects the heart. The cross crawl is important because we always take the right side and cross it over to the left. So you can do it like this, by crossing the right hand to the left knee, and then just the opposite, left. And that's really important, because if you feel unfocused during the day, you can do this, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your brain will come right back into the present moment. Another way you can do it is to bring your right arm up, left foot back, and just do this, as long as you're always doing the opposites. Woo, got myself caught here. Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. So the real revolution in the prevention and treatment of heart disease will come with an increased understanding of the role that the parasympathetic nervous system plays and how it contributes to the blockage of blood flow by measuring this through a tool called heart rate variability. This just gives you a little review of the cross crawl. In his book, The Genie in Your Genes, Dawson Church defines heart rate variability as a state in which the variability of our heartbeat is highly regular. Positive emotions, of course, produce heart coherence, and negative emotions produce large fluctuations. Now, I've been fortunate enough to have an HRV in my office in Dominica, and it is remarkable to see how quickly I can spot individuals who have anger and a lot of issues going on by just doing the heart rate graph. The Institute of Heart Math has also found some very interesting information. Did you know that the heart has its own nervous system? It actually gives it the ability to sense, to learn, to remember, to make functional decisions independent of the brain. So later in this workshop, we want to know how we can affect that nervous system directly of the heart. The Institute of Heart Math also goes on to say that the heart sends powerful messages to the brain and the rest of the body in 4 ways. The first is neurologically, through the nerves. Second, biophysically. Third, hormonally. And fourth, energetically. So we're talking about a huge message center in the heart. Truly, from this perspective, we can follow our heart and become our fullest potential as a human being. It's just about learning how to let your heart light shine. And that's what this workshop is about. Researchers from the Institute of Heart Math have found that emotional stress is one of the strongest risk factors for heart disease and sudden cardiac arrest. And it's much more than smoking or a sedentary lifestyle. Now, this is what an HR graph looks like. The top is the difference between an angry person, and the bottom is the one that carries a great deal of appreciation for life.
Could you stop for a minute and go back to that graph?
Yes?
What is it measuring on the horizontal and the vertical? One is time.
Yeah. I'll answer that for you at the end, okay? I think that will be a lot easier. Let's go back here. Come on, baby, where are you? There you are. So in summary, it follows that a high degree of heart coherence is associated with a higher degree of efficiency in the functioning of the circulatory and the nervous systems. In Touch for Health, we have the 14 muscle balance, which actually supports heart coherence because it balances the 14 systems of the body. So this is very exciting that we can have that much influence just by doing 14 muscle balance. The Institute of Heart Math has done obviously a lot of research, and that's why it's called Heart Math. And they have found that the electromagnetic field of the heart is actually 10 times the electromagnetic field of the brain. And that means that the heart is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. That's huge. The other thing that I found so fascinating, did you know that a mother's brain waves sync with the baby's heartbeat? Not only in the womb, but outside of the womb as well. We have two distinct nervous systems. The first is the central nervous system, or CNS, and it controls our conscious functions such as our muscle and our nerve function. And then we have a second nervous system, which is called the autonomic nervous system, or automatic nervous system. And it controls the function of the internal organs, the blood vessels, and the glands. The CNS's main responsibility is to control and coordinate the function of the entire body, plus adapt and relate to its environment. It is made up of the motor nerves, which control the muscles, and our sensory nerves, which transmit pain. And these are often the two things that people present to me at my office. They either have problems with their muscles or they're in pain. But there's a whole lot more. Actually, the CNS is the master control system consisting of the brain, the spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves. So it is the master control system. In Touch for Health, we have the central meridian, which balances the energy pathway to the brain, and it flows from the pubic bone to the bottom lip. So those in Touch for Health, you can do this while you're sitting, and you can just move from the pubic bone straight up to below your lip. So again, this is a great way to balance the nervous system, the brain, and directly affect the heart. I find it very interesting that those that are in karate will often start with their certain sparring that they do, and the ones that know will go like this. Have you ever noticed that? And then they come off to the side. And they are actually, whether they know it or not, stimulating that central meridian. The autonomic nervous system, the second part of our nervous system, is divided into two branches, which in a healthy person are always in a balanced yet ready state. Its main responsibility is to control the blood vessels, the organs, and the glands. And the two parts are the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. And this is the one that the research has been done on recently. The sympathetic nervous system is called our fight or flight system. It is centered in our adrenal glands. It uses the chemical adrenaline as its chemical transmission device, and it tells our bodies danger is afoot, time for action, run. It does so by activating a series of biochemical responses, the centerpiece of which is the glycolytic pathway, which accelerates the breakdown of glucose or sugar in our brain, and it's used as a quick energy to make us ready to escape from the bear chasing us. Or in this case, to flee or not to flee. In Touch for Health, we have ESR, or the emotional stress response. It is an efficient way to reprogram our nervous system in times of stress. Our usual response is fight or flight because we've learned that in order to survive. Translated today, this often means anger or fear, and it is a reaction based on past experiences. This is what the HRV tool measures. Using ESR, we can reprogram new solutions and choose to change the way that we react to stress. Now in this picture, you see a person that is actually doing it on someone else. But in the top 10 pain releasers, which Arlene Green has compiled, we can do all of these points for ourselves. And I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'd like you to join me, because this is one of the main ones for stress. Take one of your hands and lay it right on the back of your skull. Take the other hand and lay it across your forehead. And then what I like to do is say a very positive affirmation, and the one that just feels comfortable for me, but certainly you can use your own, goes like this. All of life comes to me with ease, with joy, and with glory. Then take the hand that's on your forehead, lay it on the top of your head with your fingers rolling back to the back of your skull. All of life comes to me with ease, with joy, and with glory. And finally, take the palms of your hands, put them above your ears, and wrap your fingers around your skull. All of life comes to me with ease, with joy, and with glory. So I use this one a lot. In fact, it is in my DVD called The Power Pack 10, which I put together 2 years ago. It is 10 techniques that take 10 minutes to do, and they are from Donna Eden's Energy Medicine and from Applied Kinesiology, Touch for Health. And I do them every day religiously because they balance physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and chemical. The second branch of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic nervous system, and it is our rest and digest system. It is associated with the cranial nerves, which are all found in our head, and it uses acetylcholine and norepinephrine as its chemical transmission devices. It tells our body, all is well, so relax. The feel-good chemicals, called endorphins, are part of the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic. And they carry soothing messages to the body so that we can feel naturally healthy and high. If you speak with individuals who are long-distance runners, they will tell you that at a certain point, they start getting in this zone and they feel very high. That is the endorphins kicking in their body. Now, some people's endorphins, unfortunately, have a very short lifespan. This is just a list to show you the differences between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. You can see that they are complete opposites, but they work continuously to balance us. Now in Touch for Health, we have the switching on exercise. It actually helps to balance us side to side, front to back, and top to bottom. And you can see some of the things that it corrects. So I would like everybody to do the switching on exercise with me. You can do it sitting right there. We've had this a lot, throughout the conference and so on, so it's always good to do it on a regular basis. We're going to take one of our hands and put it over our belly button. And then we're going to take our thumb and our index finger and we're going to lay it right over our collarbone area, and we're just going to rub back and forth there. And then we're going to take our index finger and our middle finger and put them above and below our lips and just rub back and forth. And finally, we're going to take the palm of our hand, we're going to lay it right on the back of our tailbone and our sacrum, and we're going to rub up and down. I often do this when I'm in a plane, and some people may be looking at me, and then many times I get an opportunity to tell them what it's all about, and we launch into a great discussion of Touch for Health. So just be brave enough to do these things in public. So if heart disease is fundamentally caused by a deficiency in the parasympathetic nervous system, then the solution, which is very obvious to all of you at this time, is to nurture and protect that system. And that is the core of this workshop. If we look at our current lifestyles of many people today, we know that a drastic change is in order for us to actually nurture our parasympathetic nervous system, because we would have to avoid stress and much of the industrial civilization that we live in. There are 5 known things that nurture the parasympathetic nervous system. The first one is contact with nature. The second is loving relationships, trust, economic security, intimacy or sex, and finally, I added chiropractic and touch for health, because I think there's more than 5. I think if we add those, we have a much more well-rounded focus. So now we have a whole new approach of care for ailing hearts and rewriting our magical heart songs. So we are going to start with nature, because it is one of the easiest things for people to find or to interact with. We can actually muscle test a person to find out what nature elements they are lacking. Now, I'll do a demonstration at the end of this, but we're going to go through this fairly quickly because the slides are quite self-explanatory. I am not going to use the 5 oriental elements that we do in Touch for Health, so I hope this doesn't become confusing for some of you. I have a very strong pull for Native American. So I'm going to use the 4 elements of the Native Americans, and that is earth, air, fire, and water. I add a 5th element, and that 5th element is what Maddie Stepanek was talking about. It is love, and it is who we are. So of those 4 elements of nature, we're the 5th element, and we complete all of the rest, and they complete us. So if we look at the earth element, note that the color is green. It actually works with the skeletal and the eliminative systems. And by the way, this is all in the manual, so you don't have to be, furiously writing these down. Just this entire talk is word verbatim in the manual. The only thing they left out was the cartoons, which I thought were pretty good. We can muscle test for those systems. We can muscle test for the color. The astrological signs most grounded in the earth element is Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And I have found that if I start by asking the person what astrological sign they are and work with that sign first, it's the best place to begin. So check the birth date of the person, and then you can find out if they have too much earth or not enough by muscle testing. If they don't have enough, they may need to do some earthing, actually going out and laying on the grass or going barefoot at the beach. Something to get that earth energy starting to move more readily in their body. Or there's green drinks, and there are amazing vortexes at different places in the earth. They are through geomancy that works with the ley lines. Stonehenge is one of them. The Great Pyramids are another. Easter Island is another. If you've ever been to any of these places, you can feel the difference in the energy there because many of the ley lines come together and create a power spot. In the U.S., the Four Corners area is one of the vortexes. So when you muscle test another person, if you don't find that they need any earth energy, then you move on to the air element. The color is white. It works with the nerves and the circulatory systems. The astrological signs most emanating air are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You can muscle test for the aura with the air element because remember the aura is out here around the body, and you can check all layers of it. You can check for sound and music because that takes the air. And you can check for prana by using the muscle testing. If sound is needed to balance that particular person, you may want to utilize the Healing Frequency of Music Project, which has their website there on the slide. Or there's another CD called the Crystal Voices, the Harmonic Vibrations of the Crystal Singing Bowls. And by the way, we have a gentleman in our midst that does have crystal bowls at his booth. Digby, he's sitting right there if you want to just kind of let them know. Thank you. I was playing them last night. I was in heaven because I'm very familiar with them. We had 7 of them on the resort in Dominica that I helped to build. They are tremendous at balancing the chakras and energies of the aura.
I'm really sorry about this, but I can't take any requests right now.
Alrighty then. And you can also use the sound essences that Evelyn Mulder had at the Austin conference. You can look her up online. It's called Sound Essence. Or you could look at Stephen Halpern's book, which is called Tuning the Human Instrument If Sound is What You Need to Work With, because that's one that people have problems with. Now, in Touch for Health, we do have sound balancing that uses the person's own human sounds to represent emotional aspects of themselves. So you can certainly go right into the muscle testing for that. Laughing, sighing, deep sighing, crying, groaning, and shouting. So those are very viable to use as well if the air element is found to be lacking in that individual. Next, let's look at the fire element. It, of course, is represented by the color red. It works with the digestion, and also it purifies toxicity. The astrological signs are Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. And again, they may have an underactivity or an overactivity, which can be sedated or tonified with the sun, hot springs, kundalini techniques, and sexual intimacy. It just depends on what the muscle testing shows you as you go through the different aspects of the elements. And I want you to be creative with this. This is not something that's written in stone that you have to follow every single detail. It's just amazing to watch what happens as you work with people in this aspect of the heart song. And now let's look at the water element. Oh, no, sorry, not love, trust, yet. There we go. The color is blue. The systems represented are the reproductive and lymphatic systems. And the astrological signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. To balance, you could check for rain, or spring or mineral water that the person might need, or they may need to cut back on drinking too much water. Coconut water, oceans, rivers, lakes, waterfalls, hot springs, whatever is in the area where that person can easily access it, check for that when you muscle test. And finally, the most important, I know what happened. I was on the arrow. I tell you, you have to be so technological savvy nowadays. The final and most important is the fifth element. And what I did here is I took the liberty of taking trust and intimacy and coupling it with love, because I felt that those were extremely intimately related. The representative color is purple or pink. Pink? Okay, great. And remember, please, that love is who we are. It's really quite easy to find out about love because you just have to be you. But we seem to have such a difficult time with that. So checking the person muscle testing with meditation or prayer or gratitude, or find out if they need family support or a tribe or a support group, those are very important. So now that you've got all this, let me do a demonstration so you can see how it works. Is there someone brave enough that would like to come up and have me do this on them? I'm going to go ahead and take the woman right in the front row because she can just come up very easily. All right. So let's face the group. And what is your name?
Betsy.
Betsy. Okay, Betsy. So Betsy, do you know what your astrological sign is?
That's well in the Libra.
She's a Libra. Okay? So if we look, Libra is air. So we're going to start with the air element with Betsy. But I want to make sure that she's muscle testable for those that have never seen it before. Okay, because we've already done our switching on and we've already done our central meridian. So we're going to see if she's muscle testable. And I'm going to do it just a little bit in front of her. So let's turn a little to the side here. There we go. And then bring this arm out for me. Now I'm just going to gently push down and I'm just going to have her hold against me. Okay, hold. Okay. I call that muscle locked and loaded because it feels very firm, very toned. Now what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to shut off that circuit and see if she can notice a difference in how that muscle behaves. Okay, hold against me. the muscle is not locked and loaded, there definitely was a change in the tone. So when that happens, our body is telling us all systems are not connected. All systems are not go. It's not time to lift off. Something is off and we need to correct it. So anytime that the arm releases, we know that there's some imbalance that has to be corrected with Betsy as we go through this process. We're going to make sure your muscle gets locked and loaded again. Okay. And hold against me. Okay, great. So we're actually going to be doing it out to the side instead of in the front, but I wanted to do that little demonstration for those who aren't familiar with Touch for Health. Okay? So we're going to bring your arm out to the side. I'm going to push down, hold against me. Now, take your hand and lay it over your heart, because this is all about the heart. Okay? Hold against me again. Okay? And we get locked and loaded, so that heart area, just as an organ, seems to be quite nice. But now we're going to have you say out loud, air. Okay?
Air.
Hold. Okay? She doesn't seem to have anything in the air element because her arm stayed locked and loaded. Now say earth.
Earth.
And she seems to be good there. Water.
Water.
And she's fine there. And fire.
Fire.
Okay, we've got a disconnect in fire. So we need to go back to the fire slide and find out what we need to check. Well, of course, I already know that, so we're just going to go ahead and keep your hand over your heart. All right. And let's find out if you have too much fire. So just say too much fire.
Too much fire.
No, that's not it. Not enough fire.
Not enough fire.
Not enough fire. So we need to light a fire. No, not light a fire under you, as the old saying says. Let's find out a few things that might have fire in it. For instance, does she need more sunshine? Okay, let's say sunshine.
Sunshine.
No, she's fine in the sunshine category. All right. Let's try the Kundalini. Now that one gets a little interesting because we're working with this whole energetics that works with our body. But just say Kundalini.
Kundalini.
No, doesn't need Kundalini either. Okay. Let's try a warm environment since it's cold in here. Okay.
Okay. A warm environment.
It's kind of iffy there. Yeah. So where do you live?
I live in Raleigh.
Okay, in Raleigh. So during the warm times of the month, you probably feel pretty nurtured. So let's say Raleigh in winter.
Okay. Raleigh in winter.
She needs to vacation in my paradise during the winter, right? And that will nurture her heart and make her feel much better. So keeping you at a certain level of temperature, and you could check that with the muscle testing. Okay? Are you kind of getting this? Yeah? Let's try red and see if red will help you. Okay?
Red.
No, I mean, I pushed hard and she was holding hard. No, she doesn't need red. Okay? So a warmer environment, just keeping very aware of your temperature is going to help you. So you kind of got it because I can't belabor this much longer. I only have an hour. Okay? And if you have questions, you can come up afterwards and talk with me because we have more material to cover. Okay? Can you hold your question or do you need it right now?
I just want to say if it was too much fire, how you did it.
Oh, okay. Too much fire. All right? Say too much fire.
Too much fire.
No,
No,
the question was,
Oh, I'm sorry.
If that came up.
Oh, if she had too much fire, then you would have to go and check a water element, okay, or an earth element, because think about fire. What puts it out? Water or earth? So just go back and look at the elements, okay? And then, of course, ask them to say those out loud as you muscle test. Thank you. I'm sorry I misunderstood that. Thank you very much, Betsy. You were great. Give her a little round of applause. Oh, forgot one important thing. Come right back up here, otherwise I cannot go on.
Oh, goodness.
A hug.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Great. Okay.
Most important part.
Most important part, yeah. And of course my head is thinking about going on and making sure I get all my information out there. Now, that was very important that I did that because this is what the latest research shows on hugging. And I was actually astounded how many times I had the opportunity to hug people, but I don't initiate it, okay? 4 hugs a day just to survive, people. 8 hugs a day to stay healthy. So think about it. Have you had 8 hugs today already? If you have, great, you're healthy. And then 12 hugs to grow as a human being. That's some pretty important information. And what happens when we hug? That electromagnetic field of the hearts come right together. I always like to say, I want a full frontal. I don't want any of this, like people hug like this, or kind of sideways, and they don't even get together. I want the full frontal, and that's what I did with Betsy, because that is where all of the healing energy comes from. And then I saw this in pink in the bookstore, and it says, "Got hugs? Hugging is natural and organic. It contains no pesticides." It goes on and on and on. It goes on to say that it can cure the blues and decrease stress and release and relax the body. It raises the endorphins. I said, my whole talk is on this t-shirt. So I immediately bought it and said,
It matches your...
I know, I did that on purpose. I hope that it was in pink. So, let's all stand up and hug 4 people.
We do hard hugs.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. Yes. They amplify the energy quite a bit. Yeah. Thank you.
The parasympathetic, I just contact with nature, intimacy,
Loving relationship, trust. You don't have trust. Trust you do. And economic security. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I added chiropractic and touch for health.
minimum of 4, yeah.
That's good. That was 5, that's 2, right?
All right, if you could take your seats, we're going to continue on. And Betsy reminded me about that wonderful YouTube video where it shows a person who's got a blindfold on, and he's got a big sign and says, I'm open for a free hug. And it's very interesting to see how people approach him. He can never see who it is because he has the blindfold on. And sometimes people are group hugging, and I had one gentleman ask me, what about group hugs? Well, obviously it amplifies the energy very nicely. So another way to nurture the parasympathetic nervous system, other than the 4 elements of nature and loving relationships and trust and intimacy, is to establish economic security. And that does not only mean gainful employment, but it's also the basics of food and shelter, clothing, and safety. So if you go through all of the nature elements and you don't find anything in that person, you muscle test them for love and trust and intimacy and you don't find anything, make sure you check economic security. Because right now, the world is in a mess when it comes to that. So a lot of people's hearts are being affected by the fact that they don't feel secure economically, or even with the basics. So as we come to the close of this workshop, here is a summary of the Touch for Health techniques that can help nurture the parasympathetic nervous system. So these are really important, and I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and put which book they're found in and what pages they're found on. I was just extremely pleased that we had this at our fingertips. So don't ever, ever, ever underestimate the power and the intention that you have with Touch for Health, or even if you're just hugging someone or giving someone some encouragement, because that electromagnetic field is so powerful. We have to also make sure, though, that we protect when we open our heart. I had one individual that did that, and a lot of arrows and other things came into that heart chakra, and they became very, very ill. So someone said to me, how do I protect my heart area if I open it so wide? And I found this out at another conference that I attended, and it was fascinating to me. The person said, imagine that you have a green velvet box all around your heart, except that the lid is open. And that way your heart is open, but it's protected by all the green velvet around it. And that seems to be a nice way to look at how we can make sure that as we walk through our technologically advanced society, we don't get a lot of stuff just rushing in that will make us imbalanced or dysfunctional.
Is that why you're wearing your green shirt around your heart?
You got it. Pink is the threefold flame of the heart, and in the chakra system, green is the color of the heart. It's also the color of money and the color of nature. So as we come to the close and we look at what Touch for Health can offer, don't forget Donna Eden's Wayne Cook posture that we did earlier in the workshop, because that's an excellent one as well. Final thought. We need a new healthcare model. I don't think anybody in here would disagree with that. We need a new economic system, more so than ever before. We need an ecological consciousness about our mother, the earth, and be good servants and good stewards to nature, because it is part of healing our sympathetic nervous system, which heals our hearts. We need a new way of life. Well, guess what? It starts with you. And it starts with your heart light, your matter, and your inside knowing. 2015 is actually the International Year of Light. And I saw this in a magazine in an airplane about 2 months ago. Now, they were talking about the electric light. But I said to myself, I'm going to take it to another level. And 2015 is the International Year of Light. So I dedicate the words of this song to you as an inspiration to let the light of your heart song shine. This was written by Sharon Riddle in Nashville, Tennessee in 1982, and the name of the song is Artistry. Life is a painting, my friend, with no beginning or end. It's just a process in time where shadows appear to be lines. You choose all the colors and tones, and you're never painting alone. When you paint from your heart, your life is a work of art. I know I must live my art by giving my heart and being the artist in me. So to each and every one of you, savor the experience of letting your heart light shine brighter than ever before, because the world needs your radiance and your heart song. Namaste. If you have any questions, I'll be here for a little while. Oh my gosh, it's so quiet. Woo!
Sign in for CEs. This is the P. Sign in for CEs.
I have some comments.
Yes,
First of all, I loved your presentation.
thank you.
I'm a medical doctor, so I know about the prevalence of heart disease.
Listen to this, people. This is really important.
Yeah. And I wonder if people know that heart disease is now more prevalent in women than in men.
How
Can you say that again?
interesting.
Heart disease is
More prevalent
In women than in men. And this is a medical doctor making this
And
statement.
since it's not in our consciousness to look for that, often it goes undiagnosed and untreated.
Yes.
Okay. And I think we all want, we may know that love is so important in the prevention of heart disease. And it just doesn't come from people like ourselves. It comes from cardiologists. But the problem is, as much as we all want love in our lives, what I find in people is they're afraid of it. And so they're closed down to love, usually because of negative experiences, often in early childhood, where they loved somebody and got hurt. And I think one problem is that people are valuing safety more than love, protecting themselves against the hurt. And that's what I find, is this self-protection. So they're not really open to love.
That's why it's so important to do this muscle testing and find out and get in there and get some of that vibration change.
And see what it is that blocks us from opening our hearts to love. And that's really the trick, because I think everybody
Absolutely.
wants to be there.
Yeah.
But we're all too careful
Yeah.
and into self-protection. We're choosing safety over love. And so we wind up with heart disease. I hardly agree with you that all this attention to cholesterol and whatnot is really not the main issue. I agree with you. The main issue is a lack of loving relationship, being in nature,
Yes.
exercise, eating right. More important than your cholesterol level.
Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.